be kind of lame and kind of sad. Like that's painting technology, like, you know, circa 19th century painting technology. I love that stuff. To me, that's not a limit. It's like using what I got, and anybody that's really deeply involved and geeked into painting like I am, and art, and I love all of that stuff. You know, you have to deal with the death of painting, which of course is not true, but it's a long story. And so I thought one way of coping with that was just to call it dead and just move on. You know, very pragmatic Indiana boy, right? And kind of think, well, I haven't had my turn yet. And so what I did was I just took all these ideas that I liked and I cobbled them together. I just like mashed them together, and that's where the grotesque came out of. And I always liken my practice to being a kind of Dr. Frankenstein, and these being monsters. And I always talk about my paintings as monsters, and even if they may not look scary, conceptually that's what they are. They're just this cobbling together of inanimate things with the hope that they do something. Again, in that pathetic painting way, they just sit on the wall. But they do something, they move you, or they provide you imaginative flight or something like that, which is my thing. I privilege the imagination. Like I have no qualms about that. And so the animation thing coming back, grotesque, animation, all this stuff was, I realized when I was making grotesque paintings, I started putting eyes in everywhere. There's a bunch of eyes there now. One, because we all have them, and a lot of monsters have them too. And whenever you put two eyes or a couple eyes, you know, we're pattern making people, despite the grotesque, you will immediately start finding faces. Automatically you will find faces. And so I started thinking about my eyes moving as a kind of animation within the painting. And then that linked up with the Dr. Frankenstein animating the monster and so on and so forth. So that's kind of where this came from. And so, you know, you get this velocity and all these kind of speed lines and things, you know, clearly static. It's not moving. But again, it's like a launching pad to imagine this kind of possibility. Again, for my son, you know, ooh, it's cool, it's fast, you know, and then he can come up with things like the heartbeat jungle gym or whatever. It's like awesome. They're the best. You have to have kids if you're an artist so that you can get stuff. Take it. They don't mind. And so, and like Sam's idea of like painting the black hole immediately, because that's something the Looney Tunes black hole that you can roll up and carry with you, like Acme, and fall into. Like there's no psychology. It's like, where do I go if I go in there? And then Ethan, when he was talking about like painting these little paintings, which I didn't know, I've seen them online, but I didn't know they were little. And then hearing him say, like, what would it be like to make that? That's to me what it's all about. And like Sam also saying, you know, this is what I do on my spare time. I mean, this is what we do. I mean, we manipulate materials and we want to see what happens. And that's kind of our practice and values of society, I think, in an era of standardized bubble testing, right? You know, you just see, you have to like put these things out there and see what happens. So in that case, that's where all this came from. They're all painted individually. This is Accuser, that's Menace. And there's all the shapes coming off, which comes directly from the Portland Museum of Art Phantasmagoria piece. So this is the next kind of incarnation of that. The whole idea originally was, you know, these are like fingers, and they're kind of Looney Tuny fingers, pointing at this one, accusing this one of something, and there's a big crash or a nest of shapes that something occurred. But it's comic violence, or, you know, whatever. And of course it's a way of me. I mean, I wish if I could be any artist in the kind of artist in the world, I would be a political artist, but I'm no good at it. This is what I do instead, so this is as close as I get. And so that's where like Menace and Accuser came, but it's in that Looney Tunes world, you know, where things can get damaged and you can learn lessons, but everyone's okay afterwards. So in that sense, in thinking about animation, Looney Tunes, and so on, this is Stuart Davis. Totally Stuart Davis. That's my like hero for these things. And it was simple questions like, oh yeah, I spend so much time fiddling and blending and doing all these like sheens and so on. What would happen? Am I allowed to just paint solid colors? I mean, just things like that get in my mind. I don't know what to do. And so I saw Stuart Davis, which is right up there, which is great, a nice serendipitous thing, a léger. I started looking at those guys again and thinking like, yes, I can do that. What would that be like animation crept in, having them do something crept in, all that. Then this is Stuart Davis shape, something like that, zigzag, straight out of painting. There's art in there too, and then there's like themes and mid-century modern kind of motifs and things like that. So it's like that 50s atomic era, you know, kind of, we look back at nostalgia, but it's really funny. I was scared under your desk and all that stuff. So anyway, I'm babbling, but that's kind of the gist of the thing. And then the eyeballs, I got here, same thing as like all the other artists, and you see the space, and it's really a very usable space, this museum. There's lots of things you can do with it. And until you get here and then you freak out because you're coming early to do this massive installation, you kind of have tunnel vision. Then you come in, so this came over here, let's go up there, whatever. So, yes.
Did you paint these two paintings back in Ohio, and then came and then thought of the background?
Yeah, this was actually started here in Maine,
okay.
and I'm super slow, and since I'm like, you know, dad, baby, Emmett, yeah, it takes a long time. And a lot of these shapes, I have like this inventory of shapes. It's like a playground where I cut them and I use them and I don't use some, so some of those went. The whole painting this one was made in Ohio. The wall painting was made here. In the catalog, there was an incarnation of this show, or this installation, at the De Cordova for an abstract painting show in '07. And it was a different layout. And generally, I like to make my life difficult, so I redo everything from scratch instead of doing the same thing, because it's the only chance I get to work big. So I can fail big if I screw up, but at least I get to see it in a different way. So this is a good opportunity to do that. So it's a mixing.